What's going on, guys? This is your host, Kalen Hurley of the Vegas Golden Knight podcast, All the Glitters. Let's start the show. We head back to Florida Monday, 1-1 series tied. Heck of a game last night. The first period was like an entire game. It was unreal. It was the most drama, the best soap opera you could think of. Florida, I think there was 10 penalties taken in the first, 5 goals. It's one of the periods that's just going to cement if this series goes 7 and each game is close. Not I don't think every game is going to go to overtime, but if each game is close and this series goes 7, this is one of those periods that's going to be remembered in the entire series. And this could be tame. We don't know. As far as some of the extracurriculars go, I think that's a ticking time bomb. I think Florida gave Edmonton a time release bomb now that they're headed back, and they're going to have their ruckus home crowd throwing rats on the ice and getting loud. And I think that bodes very well. It didn't bring Edmonton into the fight as far as taking stupid penalties, whereas Florida was taking the penalties. But I think it gets under their skin enough to now that they don't have that home crowd. We'll see how disciplined they could be when they get back to Florida. So I'm very, very excited for game number 3. One of these games has got to end in regulation, right? Like game 1 was for 1 overtime, almost 2. Game 2 is 2 overtimes, almost 3. So is game 3 going to be 3 overtimes, potentially 4? Game 4 is going to be 4, almost 5, and then so on until like game 7. We play till someone dies. Like, that's actually a terrible joke. Sorry. I apologize. I don't want to see a death on the ice, but you understand what I'm saying. Look, Corey Perry and Brad Marchand, 2 oldest players on the ice, they are making their presence known this postseason. Brad Marchand looks like he is all done with his injuries of the past, or at least for the season. And deal of the Boston Maid isn't looking too hot these days. They let their captain go. They are lost in a way that we don't know what they'll be next season, but I do know that Brad Marchand is making himself dollars and dollars and dollars with every goal, with every shift, with every time he touches the puck and gets the ice, his stock is yodely going up. Yeah, this series is not disappointing. I mean, for me, it's disappointing that Vegas didn't make it any further, but if we're not going to be in it, I'd like to see some good hockey, and this is some of the best so far. So I can't really complain. Now, let's talk about some Vegas stuff now. Some rumors, some potential rumblings. Dare I say it? Some LTIR. Sorry if that sounded really weird and whispery in the mic, but it's that word that no one likes to use anymore here. It's like Voldemort in Vegas land. Long-term injured reserve. Mark's no, it's not. 32 thoughts. 32 thoughts. Elliot Friedman and Kyle Bakauskas. They were talking after the Florida win last night, and they put out their podcast today. I came around. I followed Jack Manning, Vegas fan, on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, and he was like, "Hey, there's some Petro injury talk at the 33-minute mark." So hurried over as soon as I saw it, watched it, or listened to it rather. And yeah, the somebody somewhere has whispered into Elliot Friedman's ear that he's unsure, or Alex is unsure of his status of being able to play next season. At the locker room cleanout day, Kelly McCrimmon said this is one of the first seasons that there's no surgeries. And so that's hopeful if you or a Vegas fan, I mean, yeah, this wasn't his best year. Let's just flat out be honest. Alex Petrangelo's best years are probably more behind him. He didn't look like he could get up in the rush offensively like he was. Maybe towards the end of the year, he had a little bit more rest, but something looked a little bit off. He was operating at like what he would his 100% game was like an old 70% game, and so you don't know if it's something nagging. You don't know if it's an illness, like something going on. A couple of years ago when he had something going on with his family, he had made mention that he thought about hanging it up right then and there. So you don't want to ever see anybody dealing with something so bad that they consider retiring, especially someone with the pedigree of Alex Pietrangelo. Hopefully, I was hopeful to watch him in Four Nations. He pulled out because he wanted to make sure he could try to get back on track and make a push with Vegas at the end of the season. And then, okay, well, we have more international hockey the next year with the Olympics going on. And when he's healthy, and if he didn't have to skip out on Four Nations, which essentially ended up being almost like this like weird tryout for like someone like Thomas Harley. Anyway, when someone with that pedigree, two-time Stanley Cup champion, former captain, when he has to sit out, it's serious, but also you never want to see anybody like that miss the opportunity to compete for his country, especially on the Olympic stage. Selfishly, I want to see him play at his top for Vegas. And also selfishly, if he's not going to be 100%, is a 70% Alex Pietrangelo better than 100% Caden Korczak? That's not to be seen yet, but it does beg to question if he's not going to be ready for the season, or potentially he misses the entire season. Is Vegas going to put Alex Pietrangelo on LTIR? You could be above the cap in the offseason at 10%. So that would say roughly we could be over the cap like $9.3 million. So like making big moves isn't super stressful right away, but you have to, I don't remember if it's 30 days before the season starts or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Again, not the stats rules person, just the speculatory and passionate fan guy. So somebody, I know you guys are so much smarter than me, and you let me know it too. So let me know. When do you have to be cap compliant? I think it's like 30 days before the season, but I could be very off on that. But anyway, if we're able to put him on LTIR, and if he LTIR retires, like a Carey Price or, Shea Weber, things like that, it's sad to see, but that's guaranteed they're going to get their money. You know what I mean? And no knock on them. It does suck because you're unable to accrue that LTIR space at the deadline, which has really never stopped Vegas in the past of using long-term injured reserve. So we'll see what happens. Now, do I think Alex Pietrangelo is injured and it's a legit thing? Yes, absolutely. Do I think that it could require surgery and he could be out the entire season? Could be. I don't know. I don't know what his injury is. I don't know if it's an injury or if it's an illness, if it's something that can be handled in a year. Have teams recently, Edmonton, Evander Kane, had someone out the entire year and ready for the first round. Maybe not game 1, but game 2, 3, I think is when Kane came back. Tyler Seguin missed a lot of season. He came back in the playoffs. The problem is if it happens to Vegas, because of how feral the fans of other teams and organizations got because of Mark Stone's injuries, again, all legit injuries. It is what it is. The CBA allows you to replace that salary on long-term injury reserve. That's it. It's pretty cut and dry. Whether you think that there's some sort of like evil puppeteering going on in the background, that's your prerogative. I get that. The problem is that it does suck as a Vegas fan to deal with when everyone wants to say, oh, your cup has an asterisk. You were able to get Eichel on when someone was out on LTIR, and you were able to fit this guy and that guy and everything. Here's the problem. Here's the thing. Vegas has done nothing wrong as far as the rules in the CBA is concerned. Every time, and that's another thing too, is that these players aren't just like, yeah, can't come in today, pal. Sorry. Looks like game one of the playoffs, I'll be 100%. The league investigates this stuff. They send their own medical staff. They send their own doctors. They send their own PTs, everything. They are the ones who are doing that. And that, given that Vegas's past in the past 3 or 4 years, especially, I would be willing to bet we're probably one of the most checked on teams for injuries. It would shock me if there was another team that has been checked to make sure that someone's injury was legit. I remember Shea Weber, when we did take on that contract, I remember Shea Weber was skating just like at CNA with his either like some hockey camp or maybe it was a kid. I don't remember. Of his, I remember the league came out and investigated him and made sure that he was still. It's like, guys, I think Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee, at this point have proven to everybody that they're pretty smart. And so do you think they would be that stupid and slip up and just be like, shh, hey, we're just going to keep this our secret. Every time the cameras are on, make sure you're limping. Like, I get it. It's fun. It's fun to want to take down the evil empire and think that there's some other master weird evil plan going. But at the end of the day, it's a shame that Alex Pietrangelo, if he isn't able to go, it's a shame that he's missing time. It's a shame he feels like shit. I don't ever want a player to, yes, it's a kid's game, that grown men are playing, but these guys give up so much of their youth and so much of, he's a family man. He has kids, he's given up a lot of time. The schedule's strenuous and, he's uprooted his family and his wife from St. Louis. He's, God knows how long he's been in the league. He hasn't even played. He's from just outside Toronto. I think that it gets lost on some of these fans that these people are A, people too, but B, if they could, they would be competing. End of story. Full stop. If they could go, they would go. And that's that. That's why every time when a team gets eliminated from the postseason, you start getting these laundry list of injuries. And you're like, good grief, he played with what? Not too long ago, we all found out pretty quick. I mean, that Brady and Keith were trying to put on Matt Tkachuk's gear, tie his skates, and put his jersey on because the dude had a broken sternum. By the way, pretty gangster move. I wasn't super high on it at the time, but the game he broke his sternum on that Kolesar hit, he came back and tied the game, sent it to overtime. I mean, that's unreal. So these guys are warriors. To think that they wouldn't play if they could is crazy talk. So, and I'll tell you this too. No one's taking a dive and just like, oh, hey, sorry. Yeah, Kelly. No, use my salary. I'm still going to get paid. Use that to go bring on another person. Like, come on, guys. Like, what are we doing? But it does look bad because of the past. And I understand what the optics are. The optics are what they are. Vegas is using LTIR. If that's what ends up happening, Vegas is using LTIR and they're going to sign Mitch Marner and Brock Besser and Tanner Jeannot, and then they're going to bring on this person. It's like, all right, guys, like, let's chill. But, on a fun note, having an extra 8.8 is it's fun. I put out a little what the Vegas could look like a little bit, where we did re-sign Riley. This is my Puckpedia GMing. We were using Petro's LTIR and Korzak came up into the list. I don't remember. Oh, I brought Nate Schmidt on for like a 2-year, $1.5 million. So he was that fill-in D-man. I had Tanner Jeannot on the 4th. with Waugh and Colasar. I had Riley Smith back, and then brought on Mitch Marner, and then I signed and traded Nic Hague for Tyson Forrester. I think that's a pretty legit lineup, but I posted it on Twitter, and there was a couple people who were pretty pissy at me. So it is what it is. I don't think I think everyone thinks that first and foremost, everyone overvalues their players if you're a fan of the team, and secondly, everyone undervalues the players on the other team that they're trading for. So it's actually pretty funny. I ended up agreeing with the people who disagree. They're like, it was pretty quick. It was actually a pretty friendly interaction, but someone was like, Hague for Forrester, they would laugh at you and hang up. And I was like, oh, maybe, but like at that point, Nic Hague, which we're getting to, at that point, Nic Hague was linked to Philly for Bobby Brink and Tyson Forrester. So we're not, I do know that Vegas isn't going to take on a 5'8", 190-pound forward who isn't named Jonathan Marshall. So I know that for a fact. And Tyson Forrester is the same size and weight as Ivan Barbashev, and up until 12 hours ago when Petro's money wasn't being used in my mock scenario, that's how the only reason you could fit anybody else on there. So, oh well, sorry. So I ended up telling him, yeah, you're probably right. They probably would laugh at him. And then later on, we found out that, or there's another rumor going around that Nic Hague is also linked with interest of Pittsburgh Penguins and the Montreal Canadiens, which, as far as like any of their players, roster players go, I'm not super interested. I think Pittsburgh's a little old and slow. And then, I mean, the only really intriguing person I would want to bring on from Montreal is Patrik Laine. He's this weird amoeba player that I've always like loved. But he's either perpetually injured or dealing with his own mental health demons, and yeah. I wish nothing but the best for Patrik Laine. I think at his best, he's an unreal sniper. He missed a ton of time in preseason. He hurt his knee and then came back. Looked really good too when he came back. He played like 52 games and had 20 goals. I don't know if he's still a 40-plus goal scorer anymore. He's just had a weird career. So, but he'd be the only person of interest that I would have on their lineup. And to be honest, I would rather, if you're going to go that route, I'd rather the picks to flip them later for other players. So, or maybe we offer sheet somebody because we're accruing picks with Nic Hague. I'm not sure exactly what happens, but it is, it's very, again, it's all hearsay. It's all fun. This is the time of year that we get to put together what we think would be the best. And it's only happened one time where I've basically like called a trade. I'm like, listen, I think we can deal Daniil Mirimonov for Noah Hannafin. And it's crazy because at the time, I was kind of just like throwing darts, and I just liked Noah Hannafin. I had him in a fantasy league for a couple of years, and by the way, he's so handsome. Good God. Noah Hannafin, 10 out of 10, just man rocket. Good Lord. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I like this play style, and I was like, this could happen. My buddy Juan Merrill told me I was insane, and I was like, he's like, there's no way Calgary wants Daniil Mirimonov, and I'm like, no, dude, he's. They're gonna say he's like a young with potential elite puck moving defenseman, and that's what they're gonna want. And come to find out, I was correct, which is very, very rarely. Like that happens so little that it's almost laughable. Although I am correct a lot with goal scoring props for, we're in Vegas, so we're able to gamble a little bit on these games. And for some reason, I do have a knack for calling who's going to score. So every now and then I get a little lucky, and I make some dollars, or if I could steal a phrase from a buddy, I can become 100 air in a night for making some solid choices in the goal scoring prop bet department. But other than that, have a finger on the pulse. I'm not an insider. I am a fan, and I like to do what fans do and throw monopoly money at someone till they want to come in. If it had it my way, we would have Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Braden Point, and Jack Eichel down the middle. Like, what are we doing? But it's not my way. And monopoly money isn't how these guys get paid. And there is a salary cap. So I like to have a little bit of fun, play puck GM until my wife tells me, hey, what are you doing? And then I go, oh, hey, sorry. Tomorrow night, no hockey, boo. Monday night, hockey, yay. So over the weekend, you'll see some clips get posted. I'll try to get this out tomorrow before game 3, and I'll film again after game 3. I might go live on Instagram and then go with the immediate thoughts, and then right afterwards get the long form thing going. So I appreciate you guys. As always, thank you very much for your ears. Thank you very much for your time. Please, if you liked this video, if you like any of these podcasts, please like them. Like, click the like, and then please subscribe if you have not. And if you have subscribed and you think anybody would find any sort of entertainment out of these, please send it their way and encourage them to subscribe. Or if you want to send it someone's way to let them hear how insane I am, I don't care. Send it, share it, like it. Please and thank you. And real quick, I will be doing some stuff with the studio tomorrow. So very soon, I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks, I will be out of the garage. I'm not going to church up this video. So you will see garage in this one. I just want to get it out. I just want to get the content out. And so I won't green screen this thing. You'll just get to see me in my Vegas hat and my From Day One shirt. Day effing one for everybody who knows. If you know, you know. But yeah, I just like having fun and chatting with you guys. So no more pilot series. This is just it. We're going to go. I'm going to have 2 co-hosts soon. That's cool. You'll meet them. Christian and Taylor. Different points of view. Different walks of life. It'll be awesome. Christian's a relatively newer hockey fan. Taylor's a journalist, and I don't know how long she's been watching hockey, but she's very knowledgeable, and it's super fun to listen to. And they both come from different places in life, and they have different points of view. And I need to be reeled in a lot. And so it'll be fun to at least bounce some ideas off of them. And then we're going to have some guests too. I tried to have a guest a couple, like last week or so. It didn't work out, but I figured that little bug out. So I will either try to re-interview Adrian or get someone new on. And then, but we will have Adrian on because it was a super fun conversation. We were really bummed that it didn't work out. But anyway, let's get back to the outro. Thank you again for your ears. Thank you again. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of those things to all of our socials, the TikTok, the Instagram, the YouTubes. Don't have a Facebook because it's just riddled with old people and craziness. And yeah, as always, thank you very much. Besos, mi amigos. Go Knights.